President Mahinda Rajapaksa paid his last respects to Kelaniya Pradeshya Sabha member Hasitha Madawala, who was shot dead on Saturday. The remains of Hasitha Madawala were brought to his house last night.
The remains of Hasitha Madawala were brought to his house in Waragoda, Kelaniya in a motorcade. Area residents and members of the Kelaniya Pradeshya Sabha were present when the body was brought to his residence. Many individuals arrived last night to pay their last respects to the slain Pradeshya Sabha member. President Mahinda Rajapaksa paid his last respects today. Meanwhile, a number of public representatives also paid their last respects today.
Hasitha
Madawala was gunned down in public. These days, being a member of the Kelaniya Pradeshya Sabha is similar to having the death certificate in your hand. This culture should definitely change. Who will be the next person to fill in this blank? Which young politician in Kelaniya will be sacrificed next? Hasitha Madawala was shot at in front of his residence on Saturday at around 7:30 p.m. He was rushed to the National Hospital in Colombo but succumbed to his injuries. 32-year-old Hasitha Madawala had served as a member of the Kelaniya Pradeshya Sabha from 2006. The final rites will be conducted on Wednesday. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party has requested the IGP to conduct a speedy and unbiased investigation into the death of Hasitha Madawala. General Secretary of the SLFP, Maithripala Sirisena, requested the IGP to apprehend those responsible for the death of the Pradeshya Sabha member and bring them to book. The General Secretary of the SLFP also requested the police to conduct the investigation into the death of the Pradeshya Sabha member in line with the instructions of the President. Minister Maithripala Sirisena adds that the public is keeping a close watch on how the investigation into the murder will unravel, and also noted that it is the duty of the police to reveal its findings.
Journalist Shivaram murdered. Parliamentarian Raviraj murdered. Senior journalist Sasantha Vikramatunga assassinated. Former parliamentarian Bharat Lakshman Premachanda murdered. Pradeshya Sabha member Hasitha Madawala murdered. What is the current state of the investigations into these murders?
As we showed you at the start of tonight's bulletin, tensions ran high during a demonstration staged by students claiming that irregularities occurred in the law entrance examination. Now, the situation intensified when these students entered the premises of the law college.
The Law Entrance Students Collective commenced a protest opposite the Fort Railway Station today, claiming that irregularities have occurred in the 2012 Law Entrance examination. The students then staged a protest march up to the Law College. They urged that the 2012 Law Entrance examination should be repeated as the results have been allegedly altered. During the demonstration, students entered the Law College premises. A tense situation arose. 5 students were granted an opportunity to hold discussions with the principal of the law college. The Law Entrance Students Collective said that the law college principal had advised them to seek legal redress if they felt that they had been aggrieved. They said that when they made inquiries regarding the failure to list the addresses on the registry of results, the principal had furnished them with such a registry. The Law Entrance Students Collective said that the future course of action would be decided once due consideration is given to these matters.
In other local news, Dr. Kifaya Iftikhar, who is looking into the welfare of the condemned Rizana Nafik, says that Rizana is being looked after well. Speaking to News First from Saudi Arabia, Dr. Kifaya Iftikhar said that Rizana's only wish is to return home.
It's perfectly all right. She's been looked after very properly, and she's okay. They are in the jail. She's just free and just sitting and just waiting to come out. That's all. Even you can ask from her mother because she often talks to her, and she's okay there. Only she needs release to come out. That's all.
Issuing a communique last week, the Ministry of Justice said that the Saudi Arabian ambassador to Sri Lanka, Abdul Aziz Al Jamaz, had given assurances that Rizana Nafik would be released and could return home. The ministry said that the ambassador had made this statement during a meeting with Minister Rauf Hakim. Speaking to News First today, a high-ranking official attached to the Ministry of External Affairs said that the Saudi government, however, has not yet given the green light to release Rizana Nafik. He said that despite continuous bilateral negotiations between officials attached to the Ministry of External Affairs and Saudi authorities, the parents of the deceased infant have not yet pardoned Rizana Nafik. According to Sharia law, only the blood relatives of the victim could pardon an individual who has been sentenced to death. Based on the law, if an individual has been sentenced to death, the date for the execution could be fixed at any time. Meanwhile, issuing a statement, the Asian Human Rights Commission says that it appears that announcements made by the Sri Lankan government regarding moves underway to secure Nafik's release are an attempt to appease the strong concerns of the Sri Lankan and international community who have been calling for her release. The HRC notes in a statement published on its website that the government has not been able to conduct diplomatic negotiations with the family of the deceased infant that has the power to grant a pardon. The HRC notes that such a pardon is usually granted through the payment of blood money or without such payment through the generosity of the family. The HRC calls upon the President and Sri Lankan authorities to take effective action to conduct negotiations and also to renew diplomatic efforts to save Rizana Nafik.
News First visited Rizana Nafik's residence in Muttur, Trincomalee today. Rizana Nafik's mother, grandmother and sister were present at her residence in Muttur during our brief visit. Everyone is engaged in religious observances to ensure that Rizana returns home. She travelled to Saudi because of the hardships here. She went with the hope of educating her siblings. She sacrificed her own education. Her father was also facing problems at the time. It is amid all these hardships that she went abroad. There is nothing in our house. We are living with much difficulty. She was determined to go overseas. Her father is in hospital because he keeps thinking of her and his pressure has gone up.